Mavericks take down the Oklahoma City Thunder 105-101 to take Game 3 of the series and take a 2-1 series lead. It is the 6 a.m. club.
Hump day?
Oh, it's not a hump day yet. Oh. It will be soon. It will be soon. It's coming. I promise you it'll get here. But Shan and RJ here on 105 through the Fan. I want to read you this headline yesterday from ESPN.
Is it? Oh, it's not the one you just saw on Channel 8 that said P.J. Washington standing on business.
No, it's very. I appreciate the use of slang. I didn't know that I was going to expect that from a TV network, but I'm here for it. This was the headline on ESPN. Doncic Irving helped Mavs gut out win from Oklahoma City, or versus Oklahoma City. Did anyone at ESPN turn that game on? That was the P.J. Washington show, man.
But they did help.
Yeah, they helped.
It's
no mention of P.J. Washington. None. Not in the headline. And then when you go to the actual article, Doncic battles knee. Kyrie closes strong and win. I'm sorry. Was P.J. Washington not the best player on the floor for each of the last two games?
He's
your series MVP.
What is? I'm trying to think of this. I was trying to think of it all weekend, and I couldn't come up with it. What is the comparison in the history of DFW sports for something like this? Ooh. In terms of a guy, because the first one that I went to where it was just like, oh my gosh, he's just coming in here, he's lighting up the playoff games, was Van Exel against the Kings in 03. You remember he had those two 40-point games coming off the bench. That was the one that I thought at first, but I was also but Nick Van Exel was also a former All-Star, and he was still Nick Van Exel. It's different. P.J. Washington, this is something we've never seen from him. Once again, hits 5 threes. And now we know the record for the Mavericks when he hits 5 threes. It's 5-0. And then again, what was the over-under? We set it at. How many Ching Thunder money balls was the over-under?
11, right? Or 10 and a half.
So last two games, they've made 10.
Oh, boy.
And they've lost.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that was
the number.
That's interesting. That they have not, that they've been able to hold them. Kyrie and Luka are bad men, right? They're just bad men. They're bad. P.J. Washington, though, I don't. He's playing like the demon child of Scottie Pippen and Reggie Miller. If Scottie Pippen and Reggie Miller were any good, if they weren't overrated.
This is a wild note to your point here about the attention going to Luka and Kyrie. This is a wild note from Followell. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have played 60 games, regular season and playoffs together this season. Saturday's Game 3 win versus Oklahoma City was the first time in those 60 games that either Luka or Kyrie were not the leading scorers for the Mavs in the game. P.J. Washington led with 27.
Woo!
But now, and this is back-to-back because even though Luka led the team in points in Game 2, he was tied with P.J., wasn't he? So, it was still, PJ's been the last two games with Luka and Kyrie out there. Has been...
Yeah, 29-27.
We said if P.J. Washington is knocking down threes, you're not going to beat Dallas. You're not going to.
No,
even if Luka's hobbled. That's the thing you got to think about. Luka has not played great for most of the playoffs. He's gutting it out, and he's trying to make things work.
Yeah.
But you would never have thought up 2-1 against a team like the Thunder here in the Western Conference semis with Luka playing the way that he has. And Kyrie not necessarily filling it up. I mean, he's playing good basketball, but he's not filling it up in terms of offensively, in terms of making buckets.
Frankel injury attorneys, fan text. Let's see. The comp is Jason Terry. It's J.J. Barea. He's Deshaun Stevenson with offense.
See, so
what Danny Green was for the Spurs.
Stevenson's a good name. I'm trying to think of, and I understand what people are saying with Jason Terry and things like that. I'm talking about a guy who is literally stepping up here and playing in a way we haven't seen.
I guess you could say Nelson Cruz back in 2010, 11, where he was just a playoff monster. He was good in the regular season.
Pretty good in 09 and 10. And so I don't know. It is seeing somebody just step in and play at a level this is.
But he made it so you had to pitch to Josh Hamilton.
Yeah.
So you had to pitch to one of them. That was the problem because Napoli was there too, and they had the offense was tremendous. So you had to pitch to somebody, and if you were going to pitch to, Josh or Nelly, I mean, usually you would choose to pitch to Nelly. Just that'd be your thought process, but there's not a lot of examples of guys just coming out of nowhere
to do things we've not seen from them.
This is pretty remarkable, and he needs to get his credit.
No, he does.
I'm mad. I'm mad at ESPN for that.
Well, and one guy who has given him his credit, Kyrie Irving.
He's somebody that we need to go to in this series to be effective.
Oh.
Once we throw it down to him in the post and got him some opportunities on the three-point line, he's been doing well with the reps that he's been getting, the attempts that he's been getting, and he's alleviating a lot of pressure off of me and Luka and the rest of the guys on the team. So whenever guys can step up like that, especially in a playoff environment, it works well for us. And when our whole team is playing well and other guys are stepping up, the game is beautiful to not only watch but be a part of as a competitor.
He has been the difference maker these last two games. I mean, this is I did not have on my bingo scorecard chop the PJ Washington breakout series.
I did
for this
not.
one.
I certainly did not either.
In fact, if you would have told me, like we say, if PJ Washington's going to make shots, that's going to be tough for them to beat. But if you would have told me, hey, PJ Washington is going to lead you in scoring in games 2 and 3. He's going to be your
best player.
He's going to be your best player in games 2 and 3. Then I would have said, Mavs are probably down 3-0 then?
Yeah, I mean, because, like, how many times during this season have we seen PJ just, like, airmail one?
Yeah.
Or
my
two,
gosh.
or three.
You could not get him to buy a 3 when he first got here.
No.
When he first got here, it was painful. I was like, oh my gosh, is he ever? I'm going to look at the exact numbers here. Because I know when he first got here, we went through a long stretch where it felt like there was nothing that we're going to be able to do. First 16 games that he was here, Chop, he shot 25% from 3.
Is that good?
No, it's not.
What would you consider that?
Kind of like the Rangers getting 15 singles, I guess. Something like that. But he has been just fantastic for them ever since really beginning of April. You go back, Chop, to the game they played against Atlanta on April 4th. And then since that time, he closes the regular season, the little 6-game stretch there at the end of the season, shooting 40% from 3, averaging 14.5 points. And then you enter into the postseason here. And specifically these last several games, he's just been absolute money for them, shooting 41% from 3, 14.6 points per game, 6 rebounds, a steal, a block. You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of maybe Dinwiddie in the Western Conference Finals run they had a couple years ago, where you were like, can you really sustain doing this with Dinwiddie as a 2 when Luka's out, or potentially being the 3rd with Brunson in there? And Dinwiddie was a difference maker at times in that playoff run.
He was.
This is a really good defensive version of what you were getting from Spencer Dinwiddie a couple years ago.
People are saying he's the real playoff P, which he might be. I like that one.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's been a good run. It's been a good run the last 2 games.
It's not just what he's doing, though, defensively. It's not just what he's doing in terms of making these threes. It's the same sort of stuff you saw from him in the Clippers series, which is being a tone setter and being somebody to say, you know, it's become that meme of him crossing his arms and staring at the Clippers bench, but he gives you an edge. He gives you some toughness. He gives you some mean. And he said it after the, I think it was after the 3rd game. I don't believe it was after the 2nd one, but he said it after the 3rd game. They asked him about, you know, his comfort level and playing here and doing what he's been doing. And he said, I've been waiting my whole career to get here. Like my entire NBA career, he's
been on bad teams.
Yeah, well, no, but not just that. Like, he wanted to be here. He wanted to be in Dallas. He wanted to be home. And I think that this is a great example, as well as Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie was 1 too. Or what we see with Porzingis in Boston. The fresh start matters for guys. Yeah, I would say the fresh start, the change of scenery matters more in the NBA than it does in any other sport. Or at least anecdotally, I think we have more evidence that shows a fresh start wakes guys up.
Yeah, I mean, if you get on a good team, you know, the NBA season is very, very long. If you get on if you're on a bad team, you could be forgotten. I think it could help baseball players, like hitters, getting out of certain situations, or pitchers getting out of certain ballparks. But yeah, I think you're right.